Hey, Mr. Announcer Man! How's it hanging, Timmy? Alright, so I think I want to use the bow, but I don't really have any idea what to use with the bow. Ladies and gentlemen, Timmys of all ages. Hello! Welcome to the ultimate bow build guide, full of all of these absolutely astonishing assortment of equipment sets for the best ranged weapon with a string in all of Monster Hunter World. Without further ado, let's talk about a little more type of normal bow with some all-rounder, non-elemental, normal shots bow builds. A little disclaimer on this, that elemental builds will pretty much always trump an all-rounder build for this fighting style, but this is a set that will do absolute wonders against any monster you fight, rather than needing specific builds for specific monsters. This is essentially the jack-of-all-trades version of all those bow builds you see with the crazy speedrun times. So if you want to learn how to do that, without going full into your pool of resources to make 50,000 builds for elements, this is the style for you. The main style of fighting with this set is as simple as the following combo. Circle, R2 circle, dodge, R2 circle, and then repeat the dodge R2 circle section as much as your stamina allows. The main way to do strong damage with this build is to stay right on the monster's ass. Don't give it space, don't stop firing unless you are completely out of stamina. The individual numbers may not be massive, but if you always have an arrow knocked on your drawstring, that monster won't know what hit it. The best skills for this build will fall in this list of priorities, from best to worst. Non-elemental boost. As we are using a raw damage weapon, this skill is a pure upgrade. Weakness, exploit, and critical eye. These skills raise your affinity, which simply gives you a chance per hit to deal extra damage. Crit boost increases the damage of your crits by an extra 5% per rank, therefore it is worth more than affinity at very specific thresholds. To avoid boring you with all the crazy math, crit boost is worth more than pure affinity at 45% for the first rank, 65% for the second rank, and 85% for the third rank. Constitution. This skill is significantly harder to quantify in terms of an actual percent damage increase, but it is incredibly useful for a build of this type, and more than the damage itself, will give you a lot of freedom of movement and make you feel like Legolas on the battlefield. Bow Charge Plus. Bow Charge Plus literally makes you able to charge your shots one level further, which increases the motion values for those attacks. Spread/power shots. This increases the damage of your circle shots by 10%. As these tend to be about 60% of your shots, this is just a general damage increase of 6%. Normal shots. The counterpart to spread power shots, this increases the damage of your R2 shots by 10%. As these tend to be about 40% of your attacks, this is an overall damage increase of 4%. Peak performance gives you extra attack in general, but the reason this ends up fairly low on the list is because it can be quite difficult to keep yourself at maximum health 100% of the time. So the damage bonus of this skill actually ends up a fair bit lower than it says on the tin. And last but also least as far as priorities go, is attack boost. Surprisingly, this skill does exactly what you think it does. It raises your attack stat. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, "No, that's a lot of damage!" And you're damn right, that's a lot of damage, and that is also a lot of skills required for this damage. But unfortunately, we do not currently have access to a build that contains the highest rank of all of these skills. But we do have access to one that comes extremely close. The build itself, for those of us that have access to the post-release DLC, uses this gear to achieve these skills. 7 critical eye, 4 attack boost, 3 weakness exploit, 3 crit boost, 3 constitution, normal shots, spread shots, bow charge plus non-elemental boost, and a couple bonus skills in 2 recovery speed and 1 dragon attack. Special thanks to our main love, the Draken armor set, without which none of this would be possible. Except for all the parts of it that would be possible, like the pre-DLC version of this build that I have for all of you PC guys. Though this does require some decent decorations, with the full noob decoration-free version being near the end at this time. This build, using this armor, nets you a quite beautiful 7 attack boost, 3 weakness exploit, 3 constitution, 2 peak performance, normal shots, spread shots, bow charge plus, and non-elemental boost. You may be wondering where the crit eye and crit boost are, but the answer to that is that it's actually a loss to pour that many resources into both affinity and crit boost in a build with this few skills and this little availability for extra skills in general. And this version of the build will perform much better overall. The thing I'm most disappointed about in this build is the fact that it looks absolutely butt ugly, to the point that if there was a paper bag helmet in the game, it would probably be worth the statistical drop just to have your face not be seen in this terrible outfit. If an all-rounder bow is simply not what you are looking for, then maybe the one thing missing from your life is a little bit of Dragon Piercer. After all, who doesn't love a slow weapon that does massive damage? Ha! Gay! That's right, Greatsword, this is the bow's way of coming for your title. And to be honest, the bow does it ludicrously well, as you can light the fuse and shoot an absolute firecracker down the spine of your enemies. This build will do absolutely fine in a single player situation if you know how to pull it off, but where it shines is in multiplayer, where it lets you feel like an absolute matador. The playstyle for this type of build may look significantly easy on the surface, but it's actually much more difficult while you're playing it, and that is because you need to be hyper aware of your opponent's movements and timings to pull it off properly. The correct way to use this build is to only ever use 3 functions of your weapon: charge the shot, dodge, and Dragon Piercer. The gameplay loop is extremely simple. You hold R2 from a sheath position to enter your draw attack. Let it manually charge up 1 level, dodge to charge the next level, and then manually charge the final level, and then you fire a Dragon Piercer. The only time this will ever change is if you happen to add dodges to the mix to avoid monster attacks or reposition yourself for a greater shot. As for what you should aim to be doing with this build, it really is like a matador. You need to watch the monster, you need to wait until they've chosen a target, and once they have committed to an animation, you can commit to your animation of piercing their hide for crazy damage. The priority list of skills for Dragon Piercer build is much shorter than the normal shots build, but it is also significantly tighter, as it is hard to work with this build without the majority of these skills. Crit Draw. This skill is the main thing to let this build even function. It lets your draw attacks have 100% extra crits, so having all 3 ranks of this skill is simply necessary for this type of build. Special Ammo Boost. This skill boosts the power of Dragon Piercer by 10% per rank. If you don't get both ranks in this skill for a sweet, easy 20% extra damage, it still might as well not even be a Dragon Piercer build. We went over Crit Boost earlier, and as a Dragon Piercer build should have a ton of crit, this skill is an absolute no-brainer. Non-elemental boost. Just like the normal shots build today, we're going to be using a raw damage bow, so this skill is again a pure damage upgrade. Piercing shots. This skill simply boosts the damage of ranged piercing attacks such as Dragon Piercer by 10%. Bow Charge Plus. Due to the way the skill actually interacts with motion values, it actually increases the damage of a fully charged Dragon Piercer a bit less than it does with normal shots builds, but it is still a definite upgrade to have around. The 4th rank of Attack Boost. This actually sort of throws off the value calculations for Dragon Piercer builds, as the 5% crit that you gain at this rank is worth significantly more in a build like this where you aim for 100% crit and already have 3 ranks of crit boost to boot. Peak Performance is worth ever so slightly less than it was before due to the motion values of Dragon Piercer, but it is still a definitely useful skill for this kind of build. Then comes every rank of attack that is not the 4th rank, as those all give you a small, yet stable upgrade. And last, in the hopes that you can avoid becoming blind, is a bit of Critical Eye. This skill is worth both less and more than it is in the normal shots build. The usage of Crit Draw significantly lowers the need for Critical Eye, but maxing out Crit Boost also increases the value of Crit Eye. You only need a few ranks to hit 100% affinity, however each rank is worth significantly more damage because of it. The current best version of this build looks absolutely gorgeous once you layer on a little bit of Blossom Chest and Waist, and it grabs you a positively perfect and practical list of skills, including 5 attack boost, 4 crit eye, 3 crit boost, 3 crit draw, 3 peak performance, 2 special ammo boost, piercing shots, bow charge plus, non-elemental boost, and a cheeky 2 ranks of tool specialist and 1 rank of airborne as pure extra skills. To put this into perspective, this build is capable of hitting 141 damage per tick. The best PC Dragon Piercer build is only capable of 135. Now, this may not sound like that huge of an increase, but you have to keep in mind that this is for every single tick of the Dragon Piercer, and those ticks add up really quickly. And on top of that, the PC version only reaches 85% crit once you add an affinity augment, whereas the current best reaches the full 100%. That said, this original version of the build holds up extremely well, and the skills it gives you are attack boost, 6 crit draw, 3 crit boost, 3 special ammo boost, 2 piercing shots, bow charge plus, non-elemental boost, and a little bit of bonus forager's luck and a single point of divine blessing, which is sort of nice to have around. This build was my bread and butter cookie cutter, bring it to every monster and kick-ass build for quite a lot of my farming time in this game, and quite a large amount of that is honestly due to how pretty good it looks. Alright, it's sort of weird, I'll admit it. It definitely has a unique style, but it all fits that unique style and somehow manages to all come together as a style as a whole, which I absolutely love. Whoa,
So
stop
many
crying.
skills.
I know, this is also overwhelming. You just got Monster Hunter World on PC and you finished the story, and you want to know what you can farm with, even though your jewel collection literally consists of the free attack jewel it gave you, and maybe a random water resistance jewel that dropped from the single high rank Great Jagras you managed to complete. But don't worry, there are versions of these sets to let you dip your toes into as well. If you are the owner of this really depressing jewel collection, and you want to try out a normal shots build, feel free to stick each of your body parts in this armor. For 4 attack boost, 3 weakness, 6.2 agitator, spread shots, and a little rank of stamina surge, which is actually not bad to have around in this type of build. If you spend your nights crying yourself to sleep where you dream of piercing dragons all night long, then don't worry, I've also got something to let you wet your gullet with this fantastic little ditty that comes equipped with 3 crit shot, 2 special ammo boost, 1 attack boost, piercing shots, and a nice, slightly useful skill and focus, and then the random extra skills and normal shots and 2 ranks of marathon runner. The weirdest part of this set is that it manually achieves the Diablos 4 set of non-elemental boost for 10% damage increase. So I am really sorry for how stupid you're gonna look walking around the place with a light, graceful bow piercing the dragons in this clunky ass armor set. That said, for both armor sets I just mentioned, as you start to build your jewel collection out, you should use the priority list that I gave you earlier to work out what to stick in your builds to make them better, and make you better as a human being and as a hunter. Alright everybody, I hope you learned something today, and if you think I'm wrong about literally anything, even the fact that I think chocolate ice cream is better than vanilla, then let me know in the comments. Like if you liked the video, subscribe and hit the little notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.